Well then, Breakfast Central still with you today on a Friday. Olisa and Felicity, don't forget you can catch us right here using our social media portals at News Central TV. Let us know where you're watching from, and also log on to the website newscentral.africa.
Yes, indeed. Now, a lot of persons tend to equate social media and cybersecurity and cyberbullying, because that's the part of the internet that it most probably assess. Our conversation this morning is cybersecurity. Experts have predicted that in 2021, there will be a cyber attack every 11 seconds. This is nearly twice what it was in 2019, which was every 19 seconds, and 4 times the rate in 2016, when it was every 40 seconds. Now, it is expected that cybercrime will cost the global economy $6.1 trillion annually. If cybercrime was an economy, it would be the 3rd largest economy in the world, behind the US and China.
Wow, it's serious, big numbers, you have to say. Well, concerns about cybersecurity have no doubt been exacerbated by the increasing number of people working from home due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Work from home opened another, perhaps, avenue for threat actors seeking to exploit governments and also trying to protect themselves from citizens from these threats. But there are also concerns that cybercrime legislation can also be used to muffle the civic space and the citizens of their voice.
Just a few days ago, Zambia's President Edgar Lungu signed the Cybersecurity and Cyber Bill into law to, according to him, bring sanity to the way the internet is used in Zambia. But again, there are concerns as to how the law will be used. To discuss this with us is Mayuni Kayombo, a sub-editor with Zambia Daily Mail. She joins us via telephone. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm grateful.
It's our pleasure.
Welcome, Monica. Well, across the continent,
Thank you so much.
Yes, Africans have been quite vocal in their objections to any laws proposed to regulate social media and the online space. What's the sentiment, among Zambians about the new cybersecurity bill in the country?
Okay, last week the Republican president, Edgar Lungu, decided to accede to the cybersecurity and cybercrime bill of 2021. And, already some of Zambians have actually welcomed the law. Others are not so weak. Because they do not fully understand the advantages of having this law in place. One of the issues that this law is expected to address is to ensure that the provision of cybersecurity in the country is improved. To also provide for the protection of persons against cybercrime, to provide for child online protection, facilitate identification, declaration, and protection of critical information infrastructure, provide for the collection and preservation of evidence of computer and network-related crime. These are some of the things that are envisaged in this bill. But already we have Zambians are actually divided. Some of them have welcomed this bill, others have not welcomed because they think that they are not fully taken before this law came into effect.
Okay, what are some of the specific objectives of the law that people are uncomfortable with?
Okay, I think they're uncomfortable with the facilitate. This law will facilitate for identification, declaration, and protection of critical information. Maybe on this one, journalists are not so comfortable with it, because they feel that the freedom of the press will be infringed upon. Yeah. And then the general public are uncomfortable because they are not going to be allowed to use vulgar language to bully people. Cyberbullying will also be reduced because of this law. Before the law came into effect, people were bullying each other with impunity, knowing very well that they will not be taken to task. But if law came into effect, people have actually regulated the way they use the cyber, the way they use the internet.
All right. Well, let's come to this one basically, because we saw that the government spokesperson, cybersecurity and cybercrime bill follows the national cybersecurity policy and the.
Sorry, come again. I'm not getting you.
All right. I want to comment about the government spokesperson, Dora Cilia. Now, she said that the cabinet was concerned at the lack of comprehensive legislation that provides cybersecurity in Zambia. What are some of the, stated problems for this one? And she also said that the bill intends to promote more of, responsible use of social media platforms. Many times, this seems to be quite different things for citizens and the government. What are the concerns regarding the provisions of the bill, and how will it be implemented in Zambia?
Well, as I earlier stated, there are so many concerns by the general citizens and the press. But, the major objectives of this bill, they are clearly stated, and anyone can understand, except, many people are uncomfortable with a few clauses within the law. It will facilitate identification, when you are using the cyber, you'll be identified, declaration and protection of critical information infrastructure. This simply means that, when you are on cyber, you should be careful, because the law enforcement bodies will have the right to get to know who you are. In an event that you use, for instance, vulgar language, or you abuse someone with impunity. I think this is something that they are most uncomfortable with, but I would say that it is working very well. It is going to work very well for the country, because we saw a lot of unorderliness where people would vent their anger on wrong people. For instance, you bicker maybe with your superior at the office or with your spouse, instead of managing your anger, when you fail to manage your anger, you end up venting your anger on the wrong people through social media, for instance. Social media was actually highly abused.
All right, let's take this one. The passage of this bill has met with some hostilities, like you rightly identified, and some of them include the shutdown of the internet and issues like that. The opposition party, we understand, that's the UPND and its members, as well as those in the civil society groups, are saying that the law might be used to target those critical of the government. How valid really are these concerns being raised?
Okay, yes, the opposition, you are very right. The opposition is saying that, this law is meant actually to block them from coming out to campaign. But in a way, it is also going to protect them, because we've seen situations, for instance, where the opposition leader, Hakainde Hichilema, has been abused by the people. There's been a lot of cyberbullying against the opposition as well. So this law is actually going to work to their advantage as well. But you know how it is. Whenever the government does something, it is for the good of everyone. The opposition is usually skeptical about, some of these laws that the government come up with.
Before we let you go, can there be a meeting point?
Yeah, because...
sorry to cut you off, Monica, but before we let you go, do you think that there can be a meeting point, a compromise, if you may, between African governments and their citizenry on how to regulate the internet and social media without particularly infringing on the rights or freedom of the people?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Can there be a meeting point between African governments and their people in terms of regulating social media without infringing on their rights and freedoms?
Well, it is critical. In fact, if I remember very well, some media organizations, before the law was enacted, some media organizations raised a concern saying that, this bill should not have been, enacted in its current form. they are not comfortable with they were not comfortable with some of the clauses. So they said that, you know, the deal was, the law was necessary, but they were uncomfortable with some of the clauses that are discussed in the same law.
All right, Monica. We want to say thank you very much. There's so much to talk about here, but always time is an issue. Thank you so much for joining us.
You know, I would have done greater. Unfortunately, I'm not even getting some of the questions. The network is so bad. I'm just considering me an opportunity.
All right.
Yeah, we understand. Hopefully the network will be a lot better and we can actually see you when we have this conversation again. Thank you and have a lovely day.
All right, so there you have it. Cybersecurity law in Zambia bill being passed. What would it mean for the Southern African country? And will it mean a regulation perhaps on social media or perhaps clamping down on some of the, you know, freedoms that people enjoy?
There will always be that fear among people. When the internet came up around the 1990s, there was, you know, people didn't expect that it would get to this point where regulations would be needed. And there are people that are also suggesting that preemptive laws, because you have, you know, new innovations coming up with the you put one law today, something else will come up, and how will people react to it? There will always be mixed reaction, but the important thing is we have access to the internet. First, you protect yourself, know when you're infringing on the laws, and the ones that you find uncomfortable. I mean, that's why we have houses of parliament. You take it to them and they will take a look at it.
All right, so the gift and the curse of social media and the internet.
That's perfect. The gifts and the curse of the internet.
We'll take a quick breather. There's still more to come, including sports and entertainment. Yes, it's a Friday. Don't go nowhere.